we're ready to begin. We are in compliance this evening with the open meeting law. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. We're live on KCLV Channel 2, and this meeting will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., the following Monday at midnight, and Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. And if you could please now join us and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started, I just want to mention that in the audience tonight is Ms. Margot Wheeler. Margot worked for the City of Las Vegas for 6 years and was the planning director here and did a marvelous job. And we're also happy to see her because she, I know, gave me my start. And not that I think I know everything, but she did teach me a lot, and she was very kind. So we're glad to have you, Margot, and we're happy to see you home. So thanks for coming by. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Chair Quinn.
Here.
Vice Chair Flangus.
Here.
Commissioner Goins.
Present.
Commissioner Truesdell.
Present.
Commissioner Moody.
Here.
Commissioner Slotman.
Present.
And Commissioner Bonar.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to now move on to number 4, which is public comment. All public comments made under this item for specific action items will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? If so, come forward now. If not, we'll move on to number 5. We'll now move for approval, Commissioner Flangus, of the meeting minutes of September 11th, 2012.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the minutes for the meeting on September 11, 2012.
Thank you. That motion is for approval. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes. Thank you. Any items from the Planning Commission staff and/or the applicant wish to be stricken or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Let's move on to our housekeeping items. Are there any items that the commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public wish to pull forward for action at this time? Staff.
Madam Chair, we have a few items. Item number 7, Annexation 46389. Applicant requests the item be withdrawn without prejudice. Items number 13 and 14, TMP 44706 and variance 45261. Applicant requests those items be withdrawn without prejudice. And items 22 and 23, which are special use permit 46578 and site plan review 46579. The applicant requests those items to be withdrawn without prejudice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. May we have a motion, please, Commissioner Flangus? Oh, is there anybody here that wishes to speak or pull any of these items forward or talk about anything else? Thank you. Then we'll go ahead for a motion.
Madam Chairman, I move that items number 7, 13, 14, 22, and 23 all be approved as withdrawn without prejudice.
Thank you. That motion is for approval. Please cast your votes. Thank you. We're going to move on to our consent items now. And consent items are considered routine by the Planning Commission and may be enacted upon by one motion. However, any item may be discussed if a commissioner, member, or applicant so desires. There are no consent items, so we won't even be talking about that right now. We're going to move on to the one motion, one vote. The following are items that may be considered in one motion, one vote. They're considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearings and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. If any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of this Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by the staff, they should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. I'll read them first, and then we'll see if any need to be pulled. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Number 7 was withdrawn, so we'll move on to number 8. Number 8 is Annex 46720. Applicant owners Ernest A. Becker and Kathleen C. Becker Family Trust for possible action on a petition to annex 10.02 acres on the southeast corner of Elkhorn Road and Wallapai Way. This is in Ward 6. Staff is recommending approval. Number 9 is SUP 46543. Applicant is Shantier Walsh, owner 9440 West Sahara Holdings, LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for proposed 5,288 square foot supper club with a waiver to allow a 0-foot distance separation from a house of worship where 400 feet is required at 9440 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 165. This is in Councilman Beers Ward, Ward 2. Staff again recommends approval. Number 10 is SUP 46569. Applicant is Project M, LLC, owner T. Brio II, LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 3,320 square foot tavern limited establishment at 100 South 6th Street. This is in Councilman Barlow's Ward 5. Staff again recommends approval. Number 11 is SUP 46576. Applicant Lights Out, LLC, owner FAEC Holdings, Warula, LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 6,772 square foot liquor establishment tavern with waivers of required distance separation to allow a 0-foot from a similar use at 1,200 feet from a house of worship and 1,340 feet from a school where 1,500 feet is required from each at 450 Fremont Street, Suite 135, and a portion of Suite number 140. This falls in Councilman Barlow's ward, and again, staff recommends approval. There's one more, which is number 12, and it's a vacation 46879. Applicant owners the City of Las Vegas for possible action on a request for a petition to vacate McWilliams Avenue, a public right-of-way from Las Vegas Boulevard East, 250 feet to Encanto Drive. This falls also in Councilman Barlow's Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. At this time, Commissioner Moody would like to say something.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to item 8, annexation 46720, my request is that that be pulled forward from the one motion, one vote agenda and be placed on the public hearing agenda.
And just for the record, number 8 will be moved to the first public hearing item, so it will fall ahead of number 13. Commissioner Flangus, sir.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve, on the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda, I move to approve items 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Thank you. I think I forgot to ask, was there anybody that wished to talk on any of these before? I'm sorry. No, okay, so then we'll go ahead with the motion, which was to approve 9 through 11, 9 and 12 through 12, and number 8 moving forward to the public hearing item. So my motion is, and that vote is yes. And that passes. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, item number 9 is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days. Items number 10, 11, and 12 go forward to the November 7th City Council meeting.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on now to item number 8. Commissioner Flangus.
Madam Chairman, on item number 8, I'm going to have to abstain out of an abundance of caution. I did represent clients in litigation against the applicants.
Thank you very much. So we're going to start with number 8, which is in the one motion, one vote. It has been moved over to the consent items, and it's an annex of number 46720. The applicant owner is Ernest A. Becker and Kathleen C. Becker Family Trust for possible action on a petition to annex 10.02 acres at the southeast corner of Elkhorn Road and Wallapai Way. This is in Councilman Ross's Ward 6, and staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have your report, please?
Madam Chair, the site is undeveloped. The site is in conformance with NRS 268.580 and the interlocal agreement with Clark County requirements for annexation. As such, staff recommends approval of the request.
Thank you very much. We're going to now open this to a public hearing because people want to speak on it. I will let you all know that the microphone in the middle is broken, so we'll have to use the two on each side of it. And so if there's more than one of you that wants to, applicant first. I just want the applicant to know that the microphone in the middle is broken, so if the applicant could come forward, please, and speak to the, to one of the microphones. Is the applicant here? Okay. All right. Hold on a minute. Then we'll just shoot right over to public comment. So if we'd like to have people come up to each side of the podium one at a time, I'd like you to give your name and address for the record, and thank you for coming out this evening.
Thank you very much for hearing us. My
Thank
name is
you.
Mary Sanders. I live across from the property in question. I live at 9945 Whittick Avenue, 89149. I've lived there 12 years. The lot is vacant. It's a part of the county, as all of that area is a part of the county RNP. And we are concerned that this is being asked to be annexed because the actual applicant has already listed it as a potential commercial property or an R2 or an R3 property. So we're very concerned that it stay in the county at this point and be dealt with as a county property because when we moved there, and since with working with Providence, which is in the city limits, they were saying that only commercial properties would be on the west side of Wallapai.
Right.
And so that's why we're asking it at this point not to be annexed into the city.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Hi, honey.
My name's Kathleen Bruce.
Could you speak a little louder because you're so little, your voice is...
Sorry. My name is Kathleen Bruce. I live at 9880 Elkhorn Road, which is the property right there on the corner.
Okay.
It's kind of kitty corner to this. And I also would beg you not to annex this and leave this in the county. My house has been devalued more times than I can tell you. If you look on the map, you'll see that my property now is next door to a Mormon church, which I don't have any problem with that, but it made it very hard for me. If I try to resell my property, people are not really too keen on that. And then we're fearing that this other property, once it's annexed, will be commercial or very high density, and that wasn't our agreement. We have been to these meetings for years.
Right.
And we always were told, you know, Providence is going to be to the west of Wallapai, and you guys will be able to keep this little area.
Right.
So.
Well, thanks a lot, Kathleen, for
Thank you.
coming out. Good evening, Mr. Farlow.
Yes, thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Annex it. We need the money.
Thanks, Todd. Mr. Rankin, could you just explain, first of all, just one more time, to let these ladies know that this has to come back, you know, to this, it's going to come back to the Planning Commission for whatever is zoned there. I mean, this is just, you know, the zoning's not changing tonight. Nothing's changing here tonight. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, yes, Madam Chairman, that is correct. Any changes to the land use or the zoning at this site will require a general plan amendment and a rezoning, which will be heard as a public hearing. As part of the interlocal agreement, the city and the county have both agreed that neither party will approve a discretionary land use application within the joint land use planning area without first considering the recommendations and findings of the other party. After consideration of such comments, each entity agrees to state for the record whether the comments were neutral, opposed, or in favor of the application. So an additional item will be read into the record at that time, as this is part of the joint land use planning area with the county. Should there be a request to amend the general plan and do a rezoning and do a project different than what the current zoning is, and it's being brought into the city as RE residential estates.
Okay, does that make sense to you, Mary and Kathleen? So nothing's going to happen here tonight, but you got to pay attention because things are going to happen later down the road. But we're not going to go back and forth. I just wanted to make sure you understood. Well, they'll be hearing about it soon, so, okay. Thanks a lot. So with that, we're ready for Mr. Moody.
Madam Chair, thank you. This is a unique spot. it's rural preservation area. I understand the concern of the homeowners. This is a county island surrounded by city, and the applicant wants the advantage of connecting to city services. Because the county land use designation is RL, or residential low, and the zoning is RE, residential estates, residential, if it's annexed, which it will be my motion to do so, it would bring it under the comparable city zoning district land use designation. So at this point, although I've heard from you clearly that you do not want to see commercial there, I would welcome you to come back here at a later time if the applicant tries to change that zoning. I would love to hear it when that time comes. But because that's not before us now, and based on what I see, my recommendation and motion, if there's no other discussion, would be to follow staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. Commissioner Truesdale, sir?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment. I appreciate the people that were here, and these county islands are, it's a good and bad situation when you look at the city and the development and consistency and who's speaking for which area. We have a city councilman in this area. We have people that city staff that review things in this area. But yet, this being a county island, sometimes we get the blame without the support of what we're doing around there, and we're trying to do the right thing. But for these county islands need to start evaporating. These lands need to be incorporated into the municipalities where they're situated, so we can get some efficiencies in our cost of services and really make it a clearer picture for you as neighbors out there. So I am going to support this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Truesdale. Does anyone else wish to speak on this item? If not, Commissioner Moody, we're ready for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll renew my motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval regarding item 8, annexation 46720.
Thank you, and that motion is for approval. Please cast your votes with Commissioner Flangus abstaining. And that passes. Thank you very much. We're moving on now to items number 15, 16, and 17, which are all related. The first one is a variance 46583. The applicant owner is the Harris Investment LLC for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 12-foot corner side yard setback where 15 feet is required at 501 South Tonopah Drive. This falls in Councilman Barlow's Ward 5, and staff is recommending approval. Number 16 is a vacate 46842 for possible action on a petition to vacate a portion of the south side of Alta Drive east of Tonopah Drive, also following in Ward 5's Councilman Barlow's ward, and staff also recommends approval. And number 17 is SDR 46582 for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 3,897 square foot office building with a waiver of Title 19.08 perimeter landscape requirements to allow a 3-foot wide landscape buffer along a portion of the east property line where 8 feet is required, and a waiver of the Las Vegas Medical District utility standards with an associated encroachment into the public right-of-way. This is also in Councilman Barlow's ward. Staff is recommending approval, and may we please have the staff report at this time.
Madam Chair, the site previously contained a child care center that was recently demolished. In order to construct the project as proposed, a vacation of a portion of the south side of Alta Drive is necessary. The right-of-way is not needed, as Alta has already been constructed to its planned width. Waivers of Title 19 perimeter landscaping and Las Vegas Medical District Plan utility standards are also needed to accommodate the proposed building and the existing utility poles adjacent to the site. The proposed LEED certified building features an attractive solar screen that would encroach into the setback area along Tonopah Drive, and a variance is required. Existing sidewalks adjacent to the site will be improved to meet current Las Vegas Medical District Plan streetscape standards. As the site is narrower than typical commercial lots and the streetscape can be accommodated without interference from above-ground utilities, the variance and waiver requests are justified. Staff recommends approval of the variance, vacation, and site development plan review request. Please note, we have received additional letters of protest and support since publication.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Good evening, applicant.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Paul Larson, 300 South 4th Street, representing the applicant, Harris & Harris Law Firm. We have on the overhead the project itself. If I can ask the engineer to zoom back to get a better view of it. I don't know if that's possible. There we go. And this is a 3,800 square foot office building for the husband and wife law firm of Harris & Harris. There'll be approximately 8 employees. The parking lot has approximately 15 spaces, so there will be plenty of excess parking. As staff noted, there is a variance request. If I can have John Burke, the architect, I apologize for not introducing him before. It does require a variance for 12-foot setback where 15 feet is required on the, not the 12 foot. And that's for essentially an overhang from the solar area. If I can have the architect point to that. So the overhang area is for a solar feature, and it will not interfere with any sight lines or anything of that sort. We do believe it's justified, and we accept staff's recommendation for approval and all conditions on that. We do require a waiver of Title 19 landscaping standards, and that's for just the east wall of the parking lot. We're asking to go down to 3 feet, where 8 feet is required. We have submitted a landscape plan that shows dense landscaping to create a visual buffer for that side, so we do believe that's justified as well. Staff's recommending approval. We accept all staff conditions on that. And finally, we're asking for a waiver of the medical district requirements for underground utilities. There are existing overhead power lines on the project. We'd like to be able to keep those to keep the cost down, and those are along Tonopah Drive. But as you can see, overall, it's a very, very nice project. I can discuss the vacation if you'd like me to. Otherwise, I'll just note that staff is recommending approval. We're accepting all conditions on that as well. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Larson. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this item? If so, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Todd McFarland, 240 North 19th Street. This isn't just nice, this is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Todd.
Congratulations to the architect. Are you the architect?
Oh, that's so Todd. Thank you, Todd. Okay, does there anyone else wish to speak on this item? Okay, if not, we're going to close the public hearing and open it up to the planning commissioners. Does anybody, Commissioner Truesdale?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a great project, and it cleans up that corner and adds to the medical district. And if there are no other comments, I would make a motion to follow staff's there's other comments.
I too think it's a fine project, but I guess have this bug about leaving overhead lines, because if you don't take them down now, and maybe when those attorneys that occupy this pass away, their heirs will be still looking at the overhead lines.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner, no one else? Commissioner Truesdale, sir?
I would make a motion again to follow all staff's recommendations for approval and conditions.
Starting with number 15. There's
Yes.
3 of them.
And, well, we're going to do one at a time, right?
And variance, number 15 passes, showing Commissioner Bonar voting no.
Item 16, VAC 46842, move for approval.
Thank you, and that also passes.
Item SDR 46582, move for approval subject to all staff's conditions.
And that also passes. Thank you, Mr. Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair, those items go forward to the November 7th City Council meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're moving on now to item number 18, which is SUP 46561. The applicant owner is Daniel Akiyami for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed community residence with a waiver to allow a 516-foot distance separation from another community residence where 660 feet is required at 1912 Fontana Avenue. This falls in Councilman Barlow's Ward 5. Staff is recommending approval. Mr. Rankin, may we have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, the applicant is requesting a waiver to allow 516-foot distance separation from another community residence, which is located at 1913 Collin Avenue. Staff recommends approval of this request as the use can be conducted in a manner that is compatible with the surrounding uses, and the availability of public services in the area will not be negatively affected by the addition of the use. Please note we have received additional protests since publication.
Thank you very much. The applicant, please, for number 18. I don't see the applicant. May we trail that, Director?
Certainly.
We're going to trail number 18 to the end of the meeting, and hopefully, or are you the applicant? Oh, well, I'm sorry, we can't speak without the applicant. Could you hang on just a little bit, because it's going to be a short meeting? Could you come down? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. We have to go in the protocol of the applicant first, so you're just going to have to hang around until they show up. I'm sorry.
Which?
Oh my goodness, you'll have to wait just a bit. We're going to trail it and hope the applicant gets here. Give us just a minute. Thank you, honey. Sorry. It won't be long. Moving on to number 19, we have three related items. SUP 46572 is applicant the Quest Academy owner Russell Warthern for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a private school secondary use at the southwest corner of Deer Springs Road and Grand Canyon Drive. This falls in Councilman Ross's Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Related item number 20 is SUP 46573 for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a private school primary use. Staff also recommends approval, and again, this falls in Councilman Ross's ward. The next one is number 21, SDR 46570, for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 121,800 square foot private school. Staff recommends approval, and Mr. Rankin, may we please at this time have the staff report on all three items.
Chairwoman Quinn. A combined primary and secondary charter school is proposed for a 10-acre undeveloped site on the southwest corner of Deer Springs Road and Grand Canyon Drive. The project is designed to meet all Title 19 code standards. The building will be a two-story with the secondary students on the second floor and the primary students on the ground level, providing separation. The building is oriented toward the northeast corner of the site with athletic fields toward the southwest part of the site. The site is well parked with parking on the west, north, and east sides of the building. The site design includes stacking space to allow all pickup and drop-off traffic to be handled on the property, reducing the amount of standing and slowing traffic on adjacent streets. Staff recommends approval. Please note that there are additional letters of protest and support since publication.
Thank you, Mr. Yorgo. Good evening, applicant.
Before we begin, Madam Chairman, I'm going to have to abstain on items 19, 20, and 21 out of an abundance of caution. My law firm did perform legal work that did directly affect the applicant.
Thank you, Commissioner Flangus. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Kimberly Maxon Rushton, appearing on behalf of Quest Academy.
I'm sorry, what was your last name?
Kimberly Maxon Rushton.
Thank you.
I'm with the law firm Cooper Levinson, located at 6610 South Jones Avenue, Suite Number A. As noted before, we have before you three matters for consideration. These matters have been recommended for approval by staff. Chairperson Quinn and members of the commission and I have reviewed the recommendations as made by staff. We have no objections to those. Also joining me up at the podium today is Mr. Kurt Carlson. He is the architect, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. I would note for your consideration the fact that we did have a neighborhood meeting. We met with the neighbors. They expressed concerns relative to the parking. We believe that we have adequately addressed those. We'd be happy to go over any of the specifics of those if you'd like. Otherwise, we just appreciate your consideration this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Maxim.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm just playing backup singer right now.
Good job, buddy. Okay, thank you. We'll close this part of the, is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this item? If so, please come forward. And if not, we will close the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on the school? Right here? Okay. Well, this is the time. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Ed Costa.
Hi, Ed.
I live in the community that is very close to the school, Arroyo Canyon. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, and I have submitted some documents to your committee in regards to petitions that have been signed by the residents of Arroyo Canyon.
Is this in favor or against the application? Are you for or against?
Against.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes. And let me read what the petitioners are proposing.
Okay.
It says, the undersigned owners, residents of the community of Arroyo Canyon, hereby sign this petition in opposition to the construction of Quest Academy on APNs 125-19, 301-007, and 008, pursuant to the following reasons. 1, the school will place an increased burden on an already intolerable traffic flow from the adjacent Escobedo Middle School. The over 1,200 students being bused and driven to the school have clogged the entrance and exit of the community of Arroyo Canyon with total disregard for the safety and access of the community. They continue to park in no parking areas and the private entrance of Arroyo Canyon without regard to the signage to the contrary. 2, the students waiting for their transportation have graffitied and vandalized property and landscaping of Arroyo Canyon. The addition of another 600-plus students in the adjacent property will only intensify this problem. And as the student population grows, this will only add to the problem. Item 3, the Escobedo School has refused to rectify this situation by not using a large area behind the school for picking up and dropping off the children in private cars. It is only used for buses. This would not eliminate the volume of traffic, but would bring some organization to it. Number 4, the condition of the existing streets will not warrant increased traffic of this volume. We are not trying to inhibit the needed facility growth for education. We only want the growth to be orderly and recognize the interest and respect of all parties. In order for Arroyo Canyon to give their approval of the project, we respectfully submit the following proposal. Number 1, Deer Springs Road be widened to 4 lanes from North TP Lane to North Hualapai Way. Number 2, North Grand Canyon Drive be widened to 4 lanes from the back parking lot of Escobedo School to Deer Springs Road. 3, proper sidewalks be constructed in front of the proposed Quest Academy on North Grand Canyon Drive and continue west on Deer Springs Road to North Hualapai Way. 4, signal lights be erected at the intersections of Deer Springs Road and North Grand Canyon. 5, signal lights be erected at the intersection of Deer Springs Road and North Hualapai Way. 6, access and off-road parking for drop-off and pickup by car with entrance and exit on Deer Springs Road. 7, proper crosswalks be marked at all intersections. 8, landscaping on total Quest Academy grounds conform to and be consistent with surrounding neighborhoods. 9, east side of North Hualapai Way be widened to 2 lanes from Highway 215 eastbound exit to Deer Springs Road. 10, traffic studies to be taken to aid in road width and construction. 11, staggered school hours between Escobedo and Quest to help eliminate congestion.
Thank you,
very
Ed.
much.
Ed, does the clerk have a copy of that? Our
Yes.
clerk here?
Now, I did fax this last week.
Okay. Do you think we
with the
could have
petition,
that
but-
copy just
yes,
to
but
make sure?
I do
Because you
have
put
a
a lot of work
copy.
into that, and I want to
Yes.
make sure that we have a copy of that for the record for city
I do.
council.
I have a copy right here.
Thank you. Please give it to our clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed, for that nice report. You did a lot of work on that. Good evening, Mr. Farlow.
Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Most of the stuff that the gentleman just referred to will be done when it gets built out. But I don't think that should hold these people back.
Right.
The problems that they might have with one school is not what I hear happens at Quest Academy. I hear Quest Academy is the
We really heard
One
it
of the
last
select-
month,
yeah.
didn't we? Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mr. Farlow. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak for or against this project? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. And please don't repeat anything that's already been said. We'd like to hear something new.
My name is Teresa Barber. My address is 5134 Blissville Valley Circle. I do not live around the school, so I don't know how it's going to impact the neighborhood. I can only talk from my point of view. The only thing I have to do with the school is I'm a parent.
Okay.
And I am a parent that every day picks up my child on a 4-lane road right now, 2 lanes going one way, 2 lanes going the other way. Quest makes it work.
Okay.
Within 10 minutes, it's done.
Right.
The parents are there, they're gone, and I'm asking that this be approved because of the quality of the staff, the quality of the teachers. They will make this work. If they say they're going to do something,
They do it.
they do it. And I feel bad for the community, but I wish the community would take time and go see how Quest makes it work now.
And Teresa, I really appreciate you coming down here. Last month, just for instance, we had the entire school come out and tell us about how wonderful Quest is, so we believe it.
Right. But
So
I
thank
think
you.
if the community would give Quest a chance to see how they work the traffic now, they
Right.
would understand that it can be done.
It can be done. Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
out. Okay. Okay, so let me just be really nice about this. We're not going to talk about how great the school is, because no, I'm not joking. Last month, we talked about it, and the only reason we talked about it for a really long time, because it rained all day, and I felt terrible that everybody drove down here. But I can't let this meeting go on and on and on and talk about the education. We have to talk about the land use, or I look like I'm not doing my job. So if we're not going to talk about the land use, then we cannot talk about it. So, good evening, sir.
Well, I'm hoping this is related to the land use. My name's Dave Dickinson. I'm a resident of 9433 Waukesha Avenue in Arroyo Canyon. And I also oppose this on the basis that the city perhaps is what has come short. And the whole issue surrounds the fact that Escobedo Middle School has failed in its effort to alleviate the traffic problems that exist there on a daily basis.
Escondido Middle School, is that right behind this one?
Yes, ma'am.
I drove
Right
by
here.
this. Right,
If you look on
okay.
the picture there, it's the big school, it's the big school that's
Right, it's behind
right there.
it.
And Arroyo Canyon is obviously
Okay.
located to the east, and the subject property to the west. So consequently, what you have is on Echelon Point there, you have a backup of
Right.
an immense amount of vehicles, two times during the day, where safety becomes an issue. The traffic becomes, it's unbearable for about a total of 2 hours during the day. I understand that Quest is an outstanding school. My son attended Quest a couple of years back, and I agree it's not about the school.
It's about
the traffic congestion. Now, I would have faith that they would do something. However, it seems that the Escobedo Middle School has been there for several years, and it falls in Ward 6, I believe. No one's done anything about the traffic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and so I just want to voice my objection in that I think the city needs to consider working some kind of traffic analysis on
And I'm sure
their-
this applicant will make sure that that happens.
Yeah, but we're concerned about the city doing that as well, because Escobedo it's a nightmare, and that's our
All
big
right.
issue.
Thank you very much. Sir? Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Lee Miller. I live at 10611 Mentasanta Avenue. I am a Quest parent. I appreciate that these people have concerns, but I would point to another school very nearby, I think less than 2 miles, Bozarth Elementary, which is a Clark County school. The principal is a gentleman named Mr. Saunders, and they're able to move, I believe they have just short of 1,000 students, and they're able to move every one of them out with a spectacular lack of cooperation from the Bozarth parents. They're able to move all these students out in less than 15 minutes flat. I would again suggest that the points that have been raised today about Escobedo taking some different action, maybe there's some assistance that the city and the Metropolitan PD can help them to utilize the roads that we already have. There's not that great a difference between the number of students at Escobedo, and the number of students at Bozarth. Bozarth makes it work, and I present them as an example that this can be done with the correct human engineering. Also, by using this intersection several times every day, I've seen at least 3 different gentlemen who I'm very sure are traffic engineers. They have the correct control and recording panels. I believe there are traffic studies which exist on the traffic flow at this time. Perhaps these folks haven't had access to that information. That would be unfortunate.
We'll make sure that's added into their application. So thank you very much for coming out. We appreciate it. Sir? Now we're talking about the application, the land use.
Correct. I'm Vernon Law, 823 Vermilion Drive, Henderson, Nevada, and I'm the vice chair of the board there at Quest. So speaking to some of the specifics that the gentleman spoke about the landscaping, about maintaining the parking and the access for our students on the property, we had to go through that through the city to get through the planning piece of that to come here today. So we did conduct that. We also conducted a study on, we paid for a study to be, a traffic study to be conducted as well. We have heard their issues, and we're trying to do everything that we can to maintain our parking and everything on the site itself, which the drawings shows. Right. So drop off and pick up and everything will be maintained there in the site. We understand the problems with it, he may see with the other school, but I'd just like to address to you that we are not the other school.
Right.
We appreciate an opportunity to go in.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that very much. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Janelle Veith.
Hi, Janelle.
7602 Mount Princeton Street. I'm about 1.5 miles from the site.
Okay.
I am also an employee at Quest.
Oh, good.
So yes, I love it. My thing is, some of the points brought up by the gentleman over here, as an active person in the Providence community, we're constantly working on the Wallapai Street issue also, so I definitely feel their pain there. But I know we've been talking about that, so I just wanted to bring it up that, you know, I work at Quest, but I understand that Wallapai issue, and there's a lot of issues with the city, county, and private
Well,
owners.
and it just sounds like Quest is going to do everything in the parking lot, so it gets off the street.
Quest is going to do an excellent job,
Right.
and I personally live across the street from Bozarth, the school that was just discussed.
Right.
And I know that they brought in the police department, PTO, and they created plans, they added things when it became necessary and an issue. And being at Quest, I know we would do the exact same thing that the school across the street from my house did.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have to say. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Applicant, can you address his concerns about the traffic, just for briefly to the gentleman, so he knows that this is going to be going in the parking lot and not on the...
Yes, Madam Chairman. Specifically, a couple of the issues that he raised, first with respect to the stagger times, Quest has agreed to stagger their start and end time consistent with that of Centennial High School as well as the junior high referenced by the gentleman. In addition to that, we're going to be widening the street with respect to both Deer Springs and Grand Canyon, consistent with staff's recommendation. There will be a sufficient amount of landscaping done in and around the property to maintain the aesthetics of the property. And most importantly, and I think what will address the concerns of the neighborhood, is that the pickup and drop-off will be done inside the property. And so if I could show you beginning, the students would enter off of, or the parents, excuse me, would enter off of Echelon. I'm sorry.
Can you put it in the middle, sweetheart, in the middle there, and then everybody will see it on the overhead?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to let Mr. Carlson kind of walk you through this. And
Please state your name Name and address for the record, sir.
Kurt Carlson with SH Architecture, 7250 Peak Drive, Suite 216, Las Vegas, 89128. Very briefly on the access and circulation into the site, working with Public Works and staff, the entrance comes in the southwest corner, traffic loops internally on the site. There's one drop-off point for the lower school at the main plaza here. Those parents, once they drop off, can exit out. Upper school has a separate drop-off in the opposing corner with a separate access point for it. There is between 1,800 and 1,900 lineal feet of drop-off space that is accounted for on the site.
Thank you very much.
It is designed to accommodate the drop-off.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, no one else wishes to speak. We're going to close the public hearing and open it up now to the Planning Commission. Thank you very much. Starting Commissioner Moody, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To begin with, I would, through you, Madam Chair, I'd ask Public Works if they'd be willing to summarize their review and findings of the applicant's revised traffic study.
Madam Chairwoman, through you, we've been working with the applicant. Our traffic division of Public Works has been working with the applicant. They just submitted their second update today. The basic idea of the circulation is exactly as described here. We're going to get as much widened pavement as we can at Deer Springs and Grand Canyon intersections so that we can have the left turn lanes into the site coming westbound on Deer Springs. Because Deer Springs is right now only a one lane in each direction, our biggest concern was always Deer Springs backing up and then not having an ability for anyone to pass on Deer Springs. So we asked them to circulate around the school, which they did. And as far as I know today, the second submittal of the traffic study has been done, and it's very close to approval.
Thank you very much, Lucian.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair. If I can continue, some of the concerns raised by the neighbors really surfaced as a result of the neighborhood meeting. And two of the primary concerns were one, parking and, well, one, traffic and two, parking. Traffic having largely to do with Escobedo Middle School and not so much focused on Quest itself. We appreciate the fact that the applicant held that meeting because I think the city has been able to work closely with the applicant and those neighbors to resolve some of these issues. And I want to, again, through you, Madam Chair, I want to help those in protest understand what the city is doing to alleviate this. Number one, Councilman Ross has requested an SID or Special Improvement District on the two parcels that are just east of Grand Canyon and Deer Springs. The result of that, we hope, would be to build out the street and the curbs on the opposite side of the street from Quest to improve traffic. Number two, Quest has been an excellent community partner and has worked with the city in helping to find solutions for the arrival and dismissal of students, even to the point of having teachers and administrators each morning and afternoon helping to direct traffic, and that has worked wonders. Quest, as stated, has staggered its start and end times from surrounding schools to lessen this traffic flow. They've also agreed to infuse $250,000 for improvements, including street and landscaping, which we appreciate. And then this traffic flow inside the property, we think, can really help alleviate this. So with all of these things working together, I'm excited and look forward to this school coming in, and you're going to see my support for this tonight.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Moody. Does anyone else wish to speak? Commissioner Truesdale?
Yeah, Madam Chairman. Just for staff again, when I saw this noticed and reviewed the backup, we noticed these as a private school, but yet I believe under NRS charters are a public or quasi-public school because they're publicly funded. It has nothing to do with the land use decision I'm going to make tonight. I just wanted to clarify that.
Madam Chairperson, through you to Commissioner Truesdale, that's absolutely correct, and that's actually a widely misunderstanding with respect to I think the general public. It is a charter school, which is a public school. It derives all of its funding specifically from the state of Nevada. It is not a private school. It does not meet the statutory definition of a private school. So I appreciate you noting that for the purposes of the record, and my apologies, Chairperson Quinn, for not doing so earlier. But it is a chartered public school, K through 12.
Thank you. And I think that's important for people to understand, because when we have people that are here talking about what's happening at Escobedo or the other schools in the area that are also public schools, the charter model is working better, and if these fine people can figure out how to make our schools function better, it would seem very simple that the people across the street should be able to figure out how to do it better as well. And for all the work that everyone here is doing to make their education better, spend the same time calling Carson City and dealing with our schools there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Truesdale. Commissioner Little Trinity down there, do you have anything to say tonight? I feel like we're not even talking to you.
Not at this moment.
I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring you down there. Commissioners down here, Commissioner Bonar, sir. Commissioner, with that, we're ready for a motion. Commissioner Moody.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 19, SUP 46572, motion is to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all conditions.
Thank you. That motion is for approval. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes, showing that Commissioner Flangus has abstained. Moving on to number 20.
Madam Chair, item 20, SUP 46573, again move to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all conditions.
And that recommendation is also for approval. Please vote. Excuse me? Okay, well, might change our minds.
Going on to City Council, or if this is final action of Planning Commission.
Director Flynn will tell you that in just 1 minute. So we voted, Commissioner Flangus abstained, and that passed. Number 21.
Finally, with regard to item 21, SDR 46570, move to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. That motion is, that's also for approval. Please cast your votes. Thank you, and that also passes.
Madam Chair, those items are final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask, is I'm sorry, not you guys, is the applicant here for item number 18, SUP 46561 yet? Item number 18. I'm just going to hold it for a few more minutes. Okay, just give us a few more minutes, you guys out there waiting for that one. Moving on to item number 24, which is SDR 46514. The applicant is Ryland Homes Nevada LLC. Owner is RB Hillside LLC for possible action on a request for a major amendment of an approved site development plan review SDR 8635 to allow an 8-foot garage setback where 6 feet or less or 18 feet or greater is required for 58 lots at the southwest corner of Alexander Road and Clark County 215. This falls in Ward 4, Councilman Anthony's ward. Staff is recommending denial. May we please have the staff report?
The applicant is requesting to increase front yard setbacks to accommodate a model home which utilizes a split-level floor plan that requires steps at the front entrance. Without the additional 2-foot setback, the front of the steps abuts the back of the sidewalk or curb. Staff recommends denial as the proposed request of 8 feet would encourage residents to park in the driveway, resulting in blockage of sidewalks and streets. 6 feet or less discourages residents from parking in the driveway, and 18 feet or greater can accommodate driveway parking without sidewalk or street obstruction. Please note we have received additional letters of support since publication.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'm Bob Gronauer, 8345 West Sunset Road. I'm here representing Ryland Homes in this matter, and if I could get your attention onto the overhead here, I could show you the site plan itself. As some of you may be familiar, I represented this matter back in 2005 for Astoria Homes. It was a 30-acre site and it was approved for 371 homes on this property. Unfortunately, since then, Astoria has lost the property. They developed some of the homes here. And then about 2010, I was representing Richmond American Homes. They came in and asked for a similar request of what Ryland Homes is asking for today. And the request was to allow the front setback to the garage to be 8 feet where 5 feet is required. That was approved for a certain amount of lots. As a matter of fact, in the blue area, as you can see on the overhead, those are the areas where you can have 8 feet or 18 feet for this residential subdivision. And since then, Ryland Homes has been building also out in this subdivision too, and they have purchased about 58 lots. What we're proposing is one of our floor plans, of our 3 floor plans, is actually designated as floor plan 2. Actually needs an 8-foot setback to the garage, which is similar to what has already been approved 2 years ago for Richmond American for one of their models. And the reason is because the stairs in this plan that we're proposing for the 3-story home, when it's built with the architecture of the elevations, the steps come out to back of curb. We'd like to, obviously, for safety reasons, try to move that back a couple of feet, so it takes us from the 6 foot to the 8 feet. But the thing is although the request is for the 58 lots, we know we're not building 58 elevations of one particular project for itself. But we're here asking for the approval, and similar requests have been approved for this same subdivision for another developer. That being said, I can answer any other questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer. We'll now open it up to public hearing. Good evening, Mr.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. In the lead up to this, there were some photos of the traffic situation right like that.
There you go.
That is what I do not want us to see. The pickups sitting out in the sidewalk and right like that. And the real problem is in the counties, you got a situation down there like this, and what happens is that the garages get filled up with the Japanese crap. So the cars end up out in the street. That's what always happens. And then we end up with stuff like this. And it just doesn't work. So I don't know. But still, again, we don't want that.
Thank you, Mr. Farlow. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing, and we're going to open it up to the planning commissioners. Anybody on this end wishes to speak about it? Okay, Commissioner.
Madam Chairman,
yes.
Seeing that there's no further conversation on this, I'm going to go ahead and move to approve item number 24, SDR 46514, subject to all staff's conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner Flangus. The motion has been made for approval. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes. Have a nice evening, Mr.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. I'm now going to move item. Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to announce that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you. I think the people have waited long enough now for item number 18. Is the applicant here? Item number 18 is SUP 46561. The applicant owner is Daniel Akiemi for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed community residence with a waiver to allow a 516-foot distance separation from another community residence where 600 and 60 feet is required at 1912 Fontana Avenue. This falls in Councilman Barlow's ward. Staff is recommending approval. Is the applicant here? Oh, hi. Have you been here all night? Well, here you are now. Please give us your name and address for the record.
Danielle Akeoyame, 2848 King Michael Avenue, North Las Vegas, 89086.
Thank you. So do you agree with all of staff's recommendations? And
I do.
You
This
do.
is my first time, so sorry.
Don't
Bear with me.
worry, it gets easier. So that's it. You agree with all of staff's recommendations? You read them over? Everything looks good to you?
Everything looks so good, yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to open it up to the public now, because you did have some people here that have been waiting very nicely that would like to speak. Okay, this is the time now to come on up here and speak on this item. Thank you for waiting, ma'am. I'm so sorry. This little applicant was late.
I was late too. I was almost a day late because I was thinking it was tomorrow.
Well, you were a little earlier than her.
Yeah. My name is Jean Zorn.
Hi, Jean.
Hi. I live at 2000 Sunland Avenue, Las Vegas 89106. I have lived there for 46 years, approximately a block and a half from this residence.
Okay.
I am president of the Rancho Manor Neighborhood Association. We did not get the notices. I didn't even get a notice. I don't know if I'm close enough, block and a half away, to get the neighborhood together to find out how they felt. But I'm speaking on behalf of myself and two of the other board members. We object to this.
Oh.
I have just recently learned that we have had another one of these community care places in our neighborhood for approximately 3 years. I feel like you're encroaching on a residential neighborhood by putting these commercial establishments in homes. The next thing, they might want a beauty parlor, a florist, whatever. We have worked hard, and we're not completely succeeding in keeping our neighborhood up to par. It's one of the oldest residential neighborhoods in Las Vegas. And personally, I object to a commercial venture being placed on another one of our streets.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting, too, by the way. We appreciate it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'm going to abstain on this item inasmuch as my daughter sits on the homeowners board of a development within the notice area.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Farlow?
Yes, thank you. Todd Farley, 240 North 19th Street. Some years ago, Councilman Reese had a terrible, terrible time with these group homes getting clustered, and that's the reason why they put this regulation into effect, this distance separation. And like again, there was a real good reason that this regulation, this distance separation, was put into effect. And I pity Councilman Barlow if he ends up with the same thing that Councilman Reese did in our area. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Farlow. Good evening, ma'am. Thanks for sticking around.
Didn't have much choice.
Oh, thanks.
My name is Jeannie Hassel. I live at 1908 Fontana, right next to the proposed facility. The same day that sign was put up in the front yard announcing this, a big old white van was parked in front of it. And that big old white van has been there almost every day since. That's kind of what I said.
So you live right next door to it?
Right. Might be a coincidence. I don't know.
Are there residents living there now?
No.
No.
No one is there now.
Okay.
I bought my home in a residential area. I don't want a commercial enterprise next to me. I really don't want 5 to 10 unrelated adults, be they handicapped or not, living next door. When I called, after I got the notice, when I called and spoke to, I don't know what the man's title is, but it's Mr. Howe, he said, oh yes, this has all been approved. or passed, or whatever. I don't remember the exact phrase.
Right.
But I don't know why it would have been.
I don't think I'm not sure they're going to do this, but do you think there's enough interest in your neighborhood that there should be a neighborhood meeting to talk about this a little bit more? Or do you just?
Well, I think that the laws or statutes or whatever they are that are in place should
Well, staff's recommending approval, so they're following the rules here, so.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering.
I don't know why they're.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to close the public hearing in a minute, and we have a really good commissioner in that ward that has done a lot of homework on this, so we're going to find out from him what's really going on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing now, and we're going to open it up to the commissioners. And Commissioner, my dear friend here, Commissioner Goins, what's going on over there?
Madam Chairman, I've been over here a couple of times in the neighborhood. I think staff's recommendation for approval is because this is not an oversaturation of a use. It seems to be compatible in nature, but looking at the number of protests was very, very low, but now that we know there's been some attention from the neighborhood, not to belabor the point, I would, although not required, would ask the applicant to host a neighborhood meeting so that she can bring these neighbors out, show them exactly what your use is. Some seem to think it's a commercial enterprise. They've seen large vehicles there, and I think you owe it to them to explain what's going on as you're new into the neighborhood.
I knew you'd say the right thing.
And are you in agreement with that?
I am. I just want to make one little statement. We did just purchase a community van that will be just transporting like patients or the clients to different doctor's appointment or whatnot. The reason we parked it in the road, not because of the sign, but because we had a contractor coming in and out. So he needed the driveway to be able to move and get his stuff in and out. He can't carry it all the way to the road, obviously. So that's the only reason we had the van there, just so you guys know. But yes, I'm in agreement if that's what you guys would like.
So with that, I will make a motion to hold, but I wanted to ask Director of Planning, which cycle do we want to keep this on?
We could hold this item for 30 days in order to give adequate time for a neighborhood meeting to be held, so this could be forwarded to the November Planning Commission meeting.
Is that okay with the applicant? And then if you could talk with Mr. Rankin, he will give you instructions on how to go about mailing out the proper notices to those folks in the area. Of course, you will incur that cost as well.
Okay.
So that would be my motion to hold this item for 30 days.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Please cast your votes.
To the next Planning Commission meeting.
And that motion passes, showing Commissioner Truesdale's abstaining. Ma'am, could you make sure that they have your address, because you don't think you might have gotten noticed on it, so that you get a notice about the neighborhood meeting, the lady in the pretty green top? So give Mr. Rankin your address, because they're going to have a nice neighborhood meeting, and that way we'll have another chance to vote on this and to talk about it. So you can give him your addresses now, okay? All right, thank you. Well, he can't hear you. You have to come walk right over here and tell him nicely what it is, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, there we go. What are we on, 25? Moving on now to number 25 is SDR 46555. The applicant owner is Annex Las Vegas Boulevard LLC for possible action on a site review for a development plan for an existing parking lot expansion with waivers of the downtown Centennial Plan streetscape, parking lot landscape, and parking lot screening fence requirements at 300 and 314 North Las Vegas Boulevard. This property falls in Councilman Barlow's Ward 5. Staff is recommending denial of this project. Mr. Rankin, may we have the Mr. Yargos, sir, I apologize. May we have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, before we start, just a disclosure that I'm working on tenant improvement in one of Todd Kessler's buildings. However, my contract is with the tenant and not with Todd Kessler, so I'll be voting on this matter.
Oh, thank you. Nice to hear from you, buddy. Thanks. Good evening, Mr. Yargo, sir.
Madam Chairwoman Quinn, the applicant has installed a non-conforming parking lot without permits at 300 and 314 North Las Vegas Boulevard, the former location of the City Hall Annex. The applicant is requesting waivers of all the downtown Centennial Plan streetscape and parking lot landscape requirements, as well as a waiver from installing the downtown Centennial Plan required parking lot screening fence for a permanent parking lot. This is a high visible location on the Las Vegas Boulevard Scenic Byway, off one of the direct freeway entrances into downtown Las Vegas. There are no physical constraints to developing this parking lot to meet all downtown Centennial Plan requirements with the proper building permits. This project does not support the city's master plan policy 1.2.7 that the city develop a specific set of urban design requirements that are applicable to downtown Las Vegas in order to improve the aesthetics and appearance of private development and of public projects in the downtown area. For these reasons, staff recommends denial. Please note that if this project were proposed as a temporary parking lot, it would still not meet the minimum criteria adopted by City Council on October 3rd for temporary parking lots in the downtown Centennial area. And also note that there has been an additional letter of support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yarger. Good evening, Mr. Kessler.
Good evening, Todd Kessler, 300 North Las Vegas Boulevard, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89101. On behalf of the applicant, Annex LV LLC. As many of you are aware, it is our group that purchased City Hall, and then in the same place acquired, in the second phase, the additional old annex across the street. We've moved our corporate offices into that location. We purchased that property and have now spent, in the purchase price as well, over $1 million on that asset. As part of that, we've moved in and attempted to basically see how it would go. We found ourselves in some very precarious situations. The reason for the fence request is really a security issue. We've had to hire a security guard basically all night long to protect the building. Our cameras have caught things going on in the parking lots that are just, undescribable. We are basically in a unique situation of a location. It has its challenges because of its location, and our belief is the solution is to basically put up the fence. The downtown Centennial Plan fence is, basically only 42 inches high, and that really doesn't deter many people. It's something that many people hop over. As you know, we bought City Hall. There's a 42-inch fence there. It has not deterred any of the homeless people from jumping that fence, living in that encampment, if you would. And we're trying to basically do the same kind of thing here. We find ourselves in a unique situation because of the location. Again, this is an existing building with an existing parking lot that was already there, in essence, when we purchased the asset. We would ask to approve subject to staff's conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. Is anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? If so, please come forward. If not, we'll close the public hearing and open it up for the commissioners. I don't think I heard it right, but there were no permits pulled for the parking lot? For the striping or the paving either? I didn't hear that right, did I?
Yes, Chair Quinn, there was no permits pulled for the expanded parking lot that was installed.
Oh, I'm surprised. Okay, thank you. Well, who'd like to start? Mr. Schlagman?
Madam Chair, I drove by this site and I must not have been looking that close. Are the K-rails out there surrounding your site with the chain link fence on top?
We put those in there on a temporary basis.
Okay. And why the K-rails?
We just found it was the easiest, most movable product to kind of get something up real quick. And again, it's still open to the public now, so it still has the same issues. But it's helped a lot. A lot of the homeless people were basically crossing the alley and just diagonally cutting across the parking lot, and this solved the short-term solution while we were going forward with this application.
And is this something you're planning on having on a permanent basis, or what's your...
Yeah, I had some discussions with the commissioners and chair folks and staff, and in the past day, we've talked about some type of temporary entitlement. Just so you're aware, The Public Works Department is planning an expansion of Las Vegas Boulevard, and as part of that expansion, they'll actually be reclaiming a portion of my building, and to do that. And so this entire parking lot, the bus turnout, will all be reconfigured when the funds and the situation comes to be. We are in discussions with Public Works about when that will be. There's no real true definitive answer. And then, as you're all aware, is that this land sits on the expansion land for the City Hall campus. And we continue to work with Zappos on the expansion opportunities. And so this building really does have a short lifespan to it, A, from the expansion capabilities of the campus, and B, from the expansion of Las Vegas Boulevard.
And Madam Chair, one more question. So when the bus turnouts come in, it will affect?
Yeah, they're going
whatever-
to take about 6,000 square feet of our land
Okay.
to widen the street, and as part of that, they create a jog-in for the turnout for the bus, and then it actually create another jog for the bus stop with the shelter that's part of it. And that'll be literally in the almost 10, 15 feet inside of our parking lot, which will
Okay.
be removing the fence that we're requesting.
Thank you. No other questions, Chair?
Lucian, do we have a timeline on that, when that's going to happen, the expansion and the bus turnout and all that stuff?
Madam Chair, I do not have a timeline for that. I do know that if this application is approved and we get the dedication that we need, there's a potential for us to build a bus stop there and widen the sidewalk. Any wider expansion of the site would, no timeline on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody, Commissioner Truesdale?
Yeah, Madam, I looked at this application, and I did have a conversation with Mr. Kessler and told him in generally, the temporary nature of it, I think I understand. Having operated a business in the downtown area for about 10 years, I can tell you, it is an adventure, but it's also a story about getting people downtown, and if we want that story to be complete, we can't solve it by putting prison walls around every building. So I can understand the temporary nature of this, but I really am not a believer that great fences make great neighbors, or the lack of letting neighbors near us. The homeless is a social issue we're all going to deal with, and hopefully that social outreach that is happening downtown can help solve some of that. But I would support this on a temporary nature, and I think we need to put a timeline on that. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Truesdale. Commissioner Bonar, sir?
Are we talking about the fence going around the entire site, or just the portion on Las Vegas Boulevard?
I apologize. It starts beginning on Las Vegas Boulevard where the building ends, and then goes to the property line, which is right by the pump and shack, goes down their property to the alley, and then back to the building. So it basically...
So the chain link that we saw in the pictures is going to be replaced, all of it?
Correct, with a...
Okay, and where are the openings in this new fence?
If I had a site plan with me, I'd share it with you, but up on the screen, you'll see two openings along Las Vegas Boulevard.
Two?
Two, that allow vehicles in.
Is there one now?
Right now, there's two cutouts for curbs. So the curb cuts would stay. There's two entrances.
Two curb cuts will stay, and those will be the two entrances or exits on Las Vegas
Correct.
Boulevard?
And then there's one into the alley as well, in order for service vehicles and so forth. We don't use that as our primary entryway.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, there's been some talk at least about there being an exit only onto Las Vegas Boulevard. Have you heard anything about that?
No. It would be, it might be, maybe, I've never heard about it, but if they talked about it, it would be maybe one side being an entry and one being an exit, but I'm unaware of any
Well,
discussion.
I'm kind of the school that says you have a public alley back there, which, to my understanding, you use partially now. And it, in my way, it looks like the proper inn for not only your employees, but for guests. And I don't think it would be a major disruption internally. I've been in your building. I've had a little tour of it. To not use the Las Vegas Boulevard door as their main entrance, but rather something directly off the parking lot. And I remember there's a door or two into the building from the parking lot. Because if it were me and I I guess I like designing at the podium, but others don't, but I'll make my statement nonetheless. I'd turn my back on Las Vegas Boulevard, and I'd fence the entirety of Las Vegas Boulevard with a temporary or whatever kind of fence we're going to end up agreeing to design of tonight, and turn all my exits, or entrance and exits, off to the alley. I don't know if that would fall on deaf ears in the Public Works Department or the traffic circulation, but I think it's worth a study. And I'll let somebody else, for at least for the time being, get into the design of the fence. But I understand why you'd like a 6-foot fence, and I don't have any problem with a 6-foot fence. It's the nature of the design, whether it's classic wrought iron or an expanded version, if you will, of the downtown standard to the 6-foot height, which would make a lot of sense, especially if it were cutting off the entirety of Las Vegas Boulevard, in my mind. You don't have a very safe entrance onto the property or out of the property with the entrances that you have on Las Vegas Boulevard. Very too near the intersection to make really good sense. And with that, I'll just stop and let others make comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonar. Commissioner Goins, sir.
I concur with everything that's been said. I think Mr. Kessler made a good point. At some point, it's going to go away, and it's going to go away soon. But I think we do need to, since we aren't going to be adhering to all of the plan down there, the Centennial Plan, that we need to put some type of time frame on it from a temporary standpoint. But I, too, thought that those, on the site plan where it's marked secondary entrance, I thought those were actually going to be exit only. Are you opposed to making those exit only? Yes, both.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I get my own access. You know, I drive into my office every day. That's my office, and I drive out of that every day as well. And I have no problems with ingress and egress or anyone behind me. So I haven't heard anything from any traffic perspective as it relates to doing that. So I would oppose that. I would support a temporary entitlement, but I would oppose an exit only or exit only from there.
Is there anyone
Mr.
else?
Flynn, I guess my question would be to you in terms of getting this framed in a temporary nature to be, my number is 3 years.
Madam Chair, if I might respond to that question. In the Downtown Centennial Plan, we have language relative to temporary parking lots, which places a time limit of 3 years upon those. What we have done with other parking lots is we place that condition of 3 years upon those, and then also stated in the condition of approval that if they wish to extend that, they need to file an EOT application or an extension of time application. And so if that is the desire of the Planning Commission this evening to place a time limit on this parking lot, we would add an additional condition that states that this parking lot shall be approved for a period of 3 years, and any request to extend that time frame shall be via an EOT application.
And then it would come back here.
And then it would come back to for an extension of time in 1-year periods.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. If there's not any
Commissioner Goins.
other questions on item 25, then I would move for a...
Oh, Madam, before we make a motion here, I just want to mention that I was showing Mr. Kessler here that our condition 9 does actually say that the gates need to be exit only. And he was saying he wasn't in agreement with that.
Excuse me, Lucian, I didn't hear you, honey.
On this item, condition number 9, the Public Works condition,
Yes.
requires the gates to be exit only.
Oh, okay, so they're exit only by law, by
Or
law.
by the condition, it would be exit
Okay.
only.
So did you know that, Mr. Kessler?
I apologize. I did not know that in anticipation of this meeting. I relied on basically my architect to talk about the staff reports. So again, I'm happy to have discussions about it, but I enter in there every morning. I don't see any problem. I haven't heard the rationale. No one took the opportunity to talk with us about the rationale behind it.
So you're suggesting we change that condition?
Yes.
I don't agree with that. So,
Madam-
Lucian, what did you say?
Well, what I was going to say, Madam Chairman, is that I can't make a decision on my own here
No.
tonight. If we wanted to modify the condition, I could agree to something along the lines as unless otherwise allowed by the city traffic engineer. That way, if they can meet later and the traffic engineer says, okay, one can be an entrance, maybe the farther one from the intersection, but personally, I can't make a decision on this on my own tonight, so.
So is it your recommendation it should be held for discussion?
Well, I think his recommendation is to amend the condition to allow.
Oh, I see, okay.
Some flexibility there. But through you, Madam Chair, if I could ask the applicant one more question.
Oh, absolutely.
About how many employees use that building?
We have about 12 to 15 employees in our building.
Okay.
And then there's a tenant that's behind us, in essence, which is the Fashion Incubator. They only have probably 1 or 2 employees. They really draw their, it's pedestrian-based business, in essence, so.
But you have no intent in the off hours utilizing that?
All the time, so I wouldn't.
So you're not going to use
myself-
that parking lot during special events to open it
no.
up to public parking, try to charge to get in there?
No, never. It would never be a paid-for-public event or anything like that. And I'll definitely work with staff as it relates to maybe creating one entrance and one exit, and I have no problem with Lucian's addition to the condition. And I'll
Thank
work
you.
with traffic about that.
Excuse me 1 minute.
I think a solution can be had where one is in and one is out.
Excuse me, Commissioner Goins, Commissioner Schlotman just wanted to make one statement, please.
Yes. Madam Chair, I think one of the issues when you have 2 exits coming off of the front of a property where it's addressed, now you have individuals not knowing how to get into the property. And this happened earlier today when I was sending one of my runners out to a business to pick up prints, and you had to enter through the back alley. And it took him over an hour and a half, and then finally I showed up and pointed where he had to go. Another issue, I mean, we created a business over in the Arts District, and it's on First Street, but the property owner decided to make the frontage of his building on the back of his building. Everybody pulls up to First Street, so, and they park on First Street and walk all the way around, so it creates quite a bit of confusion for people getting in and out, and I think inadvertently you'll see people trying to go through the exit only off of Las Vegas Boulevard. So maybe a better solution would be have one entrance and one exit off of Las Vegas Boulevard.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that's what Mr. Kessler's thinking about, so.
Yes.
Madam Chair, are these gates open during business hours?
Yes, we would agree.
So they're
to
not
keep it.
swinging, they're not mechanical, they're not,
During business hours, they're open.
okay. Oh, thank you.
Excuse me, Commissioner Flangus? Okay. Commissioner Goins?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I would, I'm okay with it, with the way the applicant wants, but I think we probably could accept Lucian's amendment to the condition, and then I'd be willing to proffer up a motion for approval
With a 3-year review?
with the additional condition as read into the record by Director Flynn.
Okay. So that motion is for approval, Commissioner?
Well, I think we need, through you, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
need to have Lucian
Yeah.
amend his motion
Ready
or
to
his
go.
condition.
Okay, Madam
Thanks, Lucian.
Madam Chairwoman, through you, the condition number 9 will now read, "The gates along Las Vegas Boulevard shall remain open during business hours and shall be signed and designated exit only unless otherwise allowed by the city traffic engineer. Additionally, if the gates are proposed to be swing-style gates, they shall not be allowed to swing into the public right-of-way," which is what was before.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, on item 25, I'd like to make a motion for approval, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions, with the amendment to condition 9 as read in by Public Works, and with the added condition regarding a 3-year review, coupled with, if it is to be extended, an ETO needs to be filed. So I would offer that up as my motion for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Goins. Please vote. And that motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
and good night.
Kessler.
Madam Chair, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you. We're moving on now to Director's Business. Director's Business. The first one is 46896. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas for possible action to approve the 2013 Planning Commission agenda schedule. Staff recommends approval on this, and this will be final action for next year's Planning Commission calendar. Mr. Flynn.
Actually, I'm going to forward that to
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Rankin, if
Mr.
you wouldn't
Rankin,
mind.
sir. I'm sorry.
There is no report. We just need your motion for approval.
It's the same thing the first Tuesday of every month, is that it?
It's still the first Tuesday every month.
Thank you very much. Sir, Mr.
I'll move for
Truesdale.
approval if there's no comments or...
Commissioner Truesdale moves for approval. And that motion passes. Thank you. Number 27 is text 46870. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas. Discussion and possible action to amend the Las Vegas Medical District Plan to add business school as a permitted use. This falls in Councilman Barlow's Ward 5. May we please have the staff report?
The purpose of the Las Vegas Medical District Plan is to create a regional medical district which will provide a complete range of medical-related services and their supporting uses. As such, the plan needs to encourage a wide range of educational and training opportunities, including many that are not provided by traditional college or university programs. This text amendment would add business schools to that list of permitted uses, and staff finds it's appropriate for the medical district.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Commissioners? Commissioner Moody? Commissioner Truesdale?
I have one comment. I don't understand exactly what you mean by business schools, but one of the biggest concerns about the medical district when it was incorporated years ago and put together was to absolutely assure that we had a location around those hospitals that would allow for the medical services to be able to expand and not be kind of forced out of the community. At least a lot of the public hearings at the time were that. So I just want to make sure we aren't going to continue to broaden what is a medical district to where we don't have a medical district. That's just my concern.
Okay. Madam Chair, if I might respond to that. We have had requests for supportive services in the medical district for training facilities that would help support some of the other uses that are there in the medical district or to support the medical arts. Our definition of a business school is actually rather broad and includes such things as massage and related services and training things. And so consequently, that's why we are proceeding with this request to amend the medical district to include that. Again, it's intended to help support the other facilities that will be there in the medical district.
Thank you, Director. Is anybody ready for a motion? Commissioner Goins?
Commissioner, move for approval of item 27, TXT 46870.
Thank you. Thank you, and that motion passes. And now we move on to citizens' participation, which is a public comment during this portion of the agenda, and it must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of any time on any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening, Frank Tawdry, 150 Las Vegas.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name.
Frank Tawdry.
Hi, Frank.
Las Vegas Boulevard North, Unit 1616, 150.
Were you here last month?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
had to
right.
make a super quick correction for the record.
Okay.
I spoke on item 31 regarding Crave nightclub in the Neonopolis. I had made a statement that my clients had commercial interest regarding the Neonopolis.
Right.
And some of the tenants thought I meant that they had an ownership interest. That's not the case. I just wanted to state on the record that the clients actually just wanted to develop their business interest
Okay.
and weren't claiming any interest. I just got some call from the tenants asking me about it.
Oh,
so
good.
I thought it'd be best to clear up the record.
Well, thank you. We
And that
really
was it.
appreciate you coming
All right,
back
thank you
and
and
doing that.
apologize.
Thanks for coming back. See you again. Okay, that's it. This meeting is over, and we'll see you all next month. Thank you.